In case you missed the big news earlier today, MTV announced that they're going to be bringing back their series MTV Unplugged. If you don't know what the series is, it's basically a show on MTV to where artists come on, they do a little concert, but this concert is completely acoustic. It is stripped back performances of their famous songs as well as including a couple of covers if the artist chooses to do so. Many iconic artists have performed on this. They've been doing this since 1989, and today they announced they're bringing back this series with their new sponsor, Rockstar Energy, and the first artist to perform on it this year is 21 Pilots, which is super exciting stuff, mainly because this most likely means we're going to get more B-stage style songs, as well as more location session style songs, which is great. But what makes me the most excited is that this might mean we're getting a 21 Pilots acoustic album. Let me explain. Good morning, good afternoon, or good night, depending on when you're watching this. How's it going, guys? First off, I hope we're having a good day today. Hope your days go well and hope it continues to go well. Here's why a 21 Pilots acoustic album is a strong possibility. Let's get right into it. The first thing we should talk about is, why is this such a big deal? Why did mainstream news and mainstream music news talk about this? Why is it ultimately leading to an acoustic album? Well, a little brief history. So, in 1989, things were a lot simpler back then. MTV was doing the music thing. They were doing music videos, having music-based shows, rather than ridiculousness. Teen Mom, Jersey Shore, these catfishing shows, and other such. They're fully into the music thing, and in 1989 they start MTV Unplugged, which would go on to be really famous during 1989 all the way up to 1999, being very frequent, then being less frequent in the 2000s and on. But they have done an MTV Unplugged performance, I believe, every year, might be excluding 2020 for obvious reasons, but every year prior and after, there has been an MTV Unplugged performance. And many iconic artists have done an MTV Unplugged show, such as Nirvana being the most famous one, what everyone thinks of when you think of MTV Unplugged. It is such a legendary performance. Other people may think of Eric Clapton, maybe Paul McCartney, Aerosmith, Mariah Carey, Korn, Alice in Chains, Jay-Z, R.E.M., and so many other iconic artists that I was just slipping my mind, because so many artists have done this show, and many people have released these as albums. The first notable one being Eric Clapton. Eric Clapton's Unplugged performance actually sold over 26 million copies, going platinum, being one of the biggest sellers of the year, and going on to win a Grammy in 1993, beating out Nirvana's Nevermind album. You know, the one that has Smells Like Teen Spirit, Come As You Are, Lithium on it. Yeah, that beat that album. A blues acoustic show beat a grunge-heavy album, which is insane. And other artists would follow suit, such as Tony Bennett. Tony Bennett's Unplugged performance would snag him a Grammy, and then Nirvana, ultimately, for their iconic show, would go on to win a Grammy as well. Many other artists have gone on to have their Unplugged albums go platinum as well, such as Mariah Carey, Rod Stewart, 10,000 Maniacs, Tony Bennett, Page and Plant of Led Zeppelin, Jimmy Page and Robert Plant, doing a Alice in Chains performance, Shakira's, Ricky Martin's, who I believe also won Grammys for theirs also, Lauryn Hill's, and Alicia Keys. Many artists have gone to do the show, and significant thing is that 15 artists who have released MTV Unplugged albums have won Grammys. There have been 30 nominations overall, and 15 winners. That is a 50% chance rate of winning a Grammy. And like I said, many artists have released their own MTV Unplugged albums. All you need to do is go into Spotify, type in MTV Unplugged, and you'll see artists such as Nirvana, such as Pearl Jam, Bryan Adams, Bob Dylan, Kiss, many other artists. Like I said, so many iconic ones have done it. And it shows that how significant 21 Pilots is that they got invited to do the very first one this year. But, and this is honestly a small but, no need to worry, but a lot of artists who have also performed on MTV Unplugged have just been artists of the time. For every Nirvana, you're going to get an Alanis Morissette, who was big in the 90s. For every Eric Clapton, you're going to get a Bjork. For every Mariah Carey, you're going to get a Florence and the Machine, and so on and so forth. There are a lot of artists who are just big in that time period who never released their stuff onto separate Unplugged albums, mainly Alanis Morissette being one of the bigger names who hasn't. Then you have artists such as REM, who do have done MTV Unplugged performances twice, but still hasn't released an Unplugged album. Sure, MTV had to do their own compilation album to get REM on something. That is the only REM Unplugged performance other than YouTube is on this compilation album MTV Unplugged did. And then you have artists such as Pearl Jam, who did an MTV Unplugged, but they waited years and years and years and years and years to put it on an album and or release it as a DVD. It's crazy. And then you have current artists such as Shawn Mendes. Shawn Mendes actually released his onto an album, and you can listen to it on Spotify, but I don't believe BTS has done that. When I searched albums that, like MTV Unplugged albums, BTS never came up, and or I didn't research hard enough, which is completely a possibility. But there are many artists who haven't released their own MTV Unplugged album. So now, 21 Pilots is in here. 21 Pilots in the year of 2022. What are they going to do? Well, we can look at it in 3 or so ways. The first way you can look at this is the very optimistic route of 21 Pilots will release this as an album shortly after the performance or later on this year. You know, do a little bit of remixing, touch up a couple of things here and there, but eventually putting it onto streaming services. And this is smart for 2 reasons. The main one is just it's good music business because we live in a stream-based environment where the most of the world listen to their music via streams. Now, don't get me wrong, it's still not as profitable compared to physical albums, to where that's how you support the artist the most, is you buy the physical album, they get more of a cut that way compared to the wild, wild west of streaming service royalties. I can go on rants about that for days, but in today's market, more stuff you have on streaming services, the better for your business, because more people will be listening, there's more ways to earn revenue. When you're 21 Pilots, you do that, and it will certainly make a dent and help your overall thing and help you pay for a lot of your expenses. Now, the other reason why I'm very optimistic that they will release it is because of the Grammy factor. Again, the Grammys are currently a 50-50 on you're going to get nominated or you are going to flop or not win a Grammy, which again, 50% do, but 50% don't. 21 Pilots, I think, has the potential to win a Grammy, especially because we know how Tyler does in these acoustic situations with the B stage, with the location sessions. It will honestly be an amazing thing, and they have the full capacity to go on and make their MTV Unplugged performance Grammy worthy and win it. And imagine if it's like it beats out someone like Machine Gun Kelly. That would be amazing. So that's reason number one. Way number two is that they hold on to it for a bit or longer, which is the Pearl Jam method. So either 6 months later, hey, like they did for the live stream experience last year, hey, happy half birthday. Here's the MTV Unplugged performance for all of you. They can wait to a year later, like they did for the cinema experience, and or they can wait years. When they feel the time is right, they can just say, hey, here you go. And I know it's been years, but hey, here's to the good old days. Am I right, kids? I mean, they could fully do that if they really wanted to. Now, the third way is that they never release it, which would suck. I don't think it'd be a good business decision, but ultimately, it's their thing. If they're not happy with the performance, I wouldn't blame them at all if they were like, yeah, no, we're just gonna toss it in the can. Of course, these will exist online, much like Rage and Love Best, much like No Fun Intended. Their performances will still be live on YouTube. They'll find their way onto other platforms. But if they decide that it's not up to par with their standards, they can go ahead and say, yeah, we're not gonna release it, which I don't think would be a smart move on their end. You know? Anyway, guys, that's all I got for you today. My throat's getting dry. I'm really tired. But I was very happy to talk about something like music nerdy, such as MTV Unplugged. But overall, I think the factors of releasing it as an album outweigh the cons of not releasing it as an album, especially that Grammy. Because the Grammy, very tempting, it shows how strong of an artist you are. Because, of course, many iconic artists have won many, many Grammys. Joanna Bass deserves many, many Grammys. So, I don't blame them at all for going for one. Anyway, guys, that's all I got for you today. I'll see you guys tomorrow. My throat's very dry, so I'm also very tired, so I'm going to go to bed, edit this. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Goodbye, and good night, more importantly, have a good day, and I'll see you later.